All right, so we're going to be multiplying binomials, and one way to do that is the FOIL method. So FOIL, F-O-I-L, each of these letters stands for a word. The F stands for first, the O stands for outside, the I stands for inside or inner terms, and the L stands for last. So let's look at what first means. So when you have a binomial right here, x plus 3, that is a binomial, that group right there. And then here's another binomial. So we're multiplying two binomials together. The first one is the first one listed in that binomial. So x plus 3, that's a binomial. The first one listed would be x. So this would be the first term. Okay, that's f. And then the first term of this binomial is x. It's the one that's listed first. So the first you go x times x, right? So x times x, which is x squared. Okay, so that's what that ends up being, is x squared. All right? Now let's talk about what the outside term, so F-O, right? So what I like to talk about is when I'm talking about the outside is I think about each of these terms as if like these were, see, like 1, 2, 3, 4, as if these were 4 friends that went camping. And each of them has their own, they're going to sleep, each of them has their own little sleeping bag, right? And so these 4 people, right, and they have their little sleeping bags with their little pillows, right? Now, if there's 4 friends and they're all sleeping side to side, there's going to be 2 that are way more cozy than the others, right? The ones in the middle are always hot because they have heat on both sides. And then the ones on the outside, I mean, maybe they have that body heat here, but then they have that cold, crisp, you know, mountain air on this side. So this person is on the outside and this person is on the outside. So that's what the outside is. So that would be x is on the outside of this binomial, and 2 is on the outside of this binomial. Okay, so do you see that on the outside here? And then this one's the outside, so that is what the outer term is. So it would be x times 2, which is the same thing as 2x. Okay, so we talked about the outside. So now we're going to talk about the inside. Those are those 2 people on the inside, right? So of this binomial, this 3 is on the inside, and of this binomial, this x is on the inside. So the inside, oh wait, this is the outer term here. Outer term. And now we're going to do the inner term, or the inside. Means the same thing. Which would be right here. This is the inside 3, and that's the inside, okay? So 3 times x, which is 3x. And then the last one. Oh no, do you need a different color? Need green. The last term. So if we go to the first term, right, if this is the first term, then that means this 3 is the last term in this binomial. And if this x is the first term in this, that means that this 2 is the last one. So we just go 3 times 2, which is 6. So we have our first, our outside or our outer term, our inside or inner term, and our last. And then the last thing you do is you just add them all together, right? So we were here. We went x times x, and we got x squared, that's our first. Then we went x times 2, which is our 2x, that's our outer. And then we went to the 3, and we did our inner, 3 times x, which is I. And then our last one, 3 times 2, which is 6. So what we see is that we have some like terms here, right, with the 2x and the 3x. And then you just add those together and you get 5x, and it's just x squared. 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 6. So that's the answer. That's how you multiply 2 binomials together to get using FOIL. All right, so let's talk about that same binomial. But really what we're doing is we're doing FOIL, right? First, outside, inside, last. But in actuality, FOIL is just a name to help you remember that you're really just doing the distributive property 2 times. So we're going to take this x here, and right, like if we had this, if we had this, right, what would we do? We would just distribute that x here, and then we would distribute that x here, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to distribute this x here, and then we're going to do the same thing and distribute this 3 here and here. So we're doing the distributive instead of 1 time, now we're doing the distributive property twice. So we're going to take this x and go x times x, which is x squared, and then we're going to go distribute this x to the 2, which would be a positive 2x. And if you see x times x, that's our first, and x times 2, that's our outside, right? So it's really the same thing as f. This is FO. But now when we move here, we're going to distribute the 3 to the x, which 3 times x is 3, which is our inside. And then we do the 3 to the 2, 3 times 2, which is a positive 6, which is our last. So it's really the same exact thing. So you can think about FOIL, first, outside, inside, last, or you can think about it as doing the distributive property twice. I'm taking this x, I'm distributing it here and here. I'm taking this 3, distributing it here and here. Okay, so now we have FOIL. We have our 4 terms, then we just need to simplify them, which means these two are like terms. So x squared plus 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 6. And that is our answer. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and look at some examples. So this first example here, we're just multiplying binomials. So we're just going to take this s, and we need to distribute it to both things, right? This is our first. This is our outside or outer. So s times s is s squared. S times negative 2 is negative 2s. And now we're going to do the inside, this 4. We've distributed the s to both. Now we have to distribute the 4 to both. So this is going to be our outside, our inner and our last. So 4 times s is a positive 4s. And 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8. Now we just simplify. We have these like terms, right? So we're going to go s squared, negative 2 plus 4s is a positive 2s. Minus 8. And there we have it. There's our answer. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next problem. So for this one, we have the quantity x minus 4 squared. And so what we need to know is this is the same thing as x minus 4 times x minus 4. This is the base, the quantity x minus 4, and it's multiplied by itself 2 times. So now what we have is we basically are multiplying binomials together, 2 binomials, so we can do FOIL, or we can just think about this doing the distributive property twice, okay? So let's go ahead and do it. We're going to take this first x and distribute it here and also here, okay? So we have x times x, which is x squared, x times a negative 4, which is negative 4x. Then we, now, since we distributed that twice, we're going to move to this negative 4. We're going to go negative 4 times here and negative 4 times here. So negative 4 times x is going to be a negative 4x. And then a negative times a negative 4. A negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 4 is 16. And now we just simplify. We have like terms here. Negative 4x minus 4x is going to be a negative 8x plus 16. Boom, there you have it. Okay, let's look at our next example here. So example 3C, we're multiplying binomials. We have a binomial here multiplied by another binomial here. This one just looks a little bit more complicated, but it's no big deal. We're just going to do the same thing. So we're going to take whatever this is and do the distributive property twice. So we're going to multiply it here and here. Okay, so whenever we have things like this, I'm just going to go 8 times. I'm going to do the numbers first and then the letters. So 8 times 1 is 8. M squared times m squared is going to be m to the 4th, okay? Then I'm going to go 8m squared times negative 3n, so I'm going to do the numbers first. 8 times a negative 3, a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. 8 times 3 is 24. M squared times, well, it's just m squared n, okay? So I distributed this 8m squared to both items. Now I'm going to distribute the negative n to both side items here. Okay, so a negative n times m squared. A negative times a positive is a negative. I have n, just, you know, m squared. I'm going to do alphabetical order. And then n. There's nothing really to combine. They're just multiplied by each other. You can't do anything because they have different bases. And so we did that. Now we're going to go negative n times negative 3n. A negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 3 is 3. N times n is n squared. Okay, now we just need to combine like terms. I see that this has an m squared and n, and this has an m squared and n, so I can go negative 24 minus 1. So I'm going to rewrite this first. 8m to the 4th power. Negative 24 minus 1, it would be negative 25m squared n plus 3n squared. So that is our answer. Okay, let's go on to the next. So here we have it. Check it out, example 3A and 3B. I want you to go ahead and try both of those on your own. Here's my friend, the pause dragon. I might need to pause your device. Go ahead and work both of those out. When you get done, press play and we'll talk about them together. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, let's see how you did on this first one, right? So multiplying binomials, I'm going to just take this a and distribute it to both, right? So a times a is a squared. A times a negative 4 would be a negative 4a. Then I'm going to distribute this 3 to both. I get 3 times a, which is a positive 3a, and 3 times a negative 4. Positive times a negative is a negative. 3 times 4 is 12. Now I just need to simplify, so I end up with a squared. These have the same, so it's negative 4 plus 3, which is negative 1. I'm just going to write negative a minus 12. You wouldn't write negative 1a, you just write negative a. So if you got that right, awesome. If not, go ahead and fix. Okay, down to, check it out, example 3b. We have the quantity x minus 3, it's squared. We know that that is the same thing as x minus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so then we're just going to take this x and distribute it to both. X times x is x squared. X times a negative 3 is negative 3x. And then we're going to take this 3, negative 3, and distribute it to both. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. A negative 3 times a negative 3. A negative and a negative is a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. Then we just combine like terms. X squared negative 3x minus 3x is going to be a negative 6x plus 9. So if you got that right, great job. Okay, now for the last check it out example. Check it out, example 3C. I want you to go ahead and give this one a shot. Okay, so we're going to take this and distribute it to both, right? 2a is going to distribute here and here. Oh, wait, my bad. You need to try this. Here's my friend, the pause dragon. I remind you to pause your device. Go ahead and work this problem out. When you get done, press play and we'll talk about it together. All right. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, so we're going to distribute this twice, right? I already got it started. 2a times a is 2a squared. 2a times 4b squared, we're going to do the numbers first. 2 times 4 is a positive 8. And then it's just a b squared, okay? And then we're going to take this negative b squared and distribute it twice, here and here. So we have a negative times a positive, which is a negative. I'm going to do it alphabetical. So A, there's nothing to multiply, just write A. And B, there's nothing to multiply. There's nothing that has the same base, so we just rewrite B squared. And now, so we did that. Now we need to do this. A negative times a positive is a negative. Do the numbers. 1 times 4 is 4. And then B squared times B squared would be B to the 4th power. Okay? Then we just have to simplify. So we have an AB squared, so that means we can have the positive 8 minus 1. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this. 2a squared, 8 minus 1 is 7, positive 7. Then I just rewrite that, AB squared minus 4b to the 4th. So if you got all that right, great job. And I'll see you in a little bit for example 4.